All right, so this video is going to have a lot of data in it, and you're probably wondering what this video is about. Well, in this video, I'm going to do a CPU comparison, 12900K versus the 13900K, and we're going to do a GPU comparison, 3080 Ti versus 4090, and then a RAM comparison, DDR4 versus DDR5. In an attempt to keep the video short, I will explain what the upcoming tests are, and I'll show each graph on screen for 10 seconds for each test. So just pause the video at any certain graph or any certain test if you'd like some more time to evaluate it. Before we get into the benchmarks, I just want to take some time to explain what the benchmarks are and what the graphs mean. So every test is ran at 1440 and 444K. You'll see average FPS, which is just self-explanatory. It's an average of all the FPS throughout the benchmarks. Then you'll see the 1 percentiles and 0.2 percentiles. Now, these are very important. The 1 percentile essentially means that you are theoretically at an average of that FPS or higher 99% of the time. So pay close attention to those numbers. And then the 0.2 percentile is the same. It works the same way. It means that at 99.8% of the time, you're at that FPS or higher. So those are essentially what you would call the minimums. And those are very important, especially in the CPU test. For iRacing, I did 3 benchmarks: Imola, GT3, 1 full lap at the start of a race, and it was from a car in the back of the field, so you had to render everybody in front. And then Montreal, GT3 test, start of the race, but this was a car in 3rd place, 1 full lap at the start. And then Road Atlanta, GT3 from a car in the back, so I had to render everybody in front, 1 full lap at the start of a race. And then ACC, it was a full lap of Brands Hatch with the car in the middle of a field with the Epic preset. For iRacing, all the settings used, I will pop up on the screen right now. First test that we'll show is the 3080 Ti versus the 4090 paired with the 12900K. 1440 will be on the top and 444K will be on the bottom. Each test will be on the screen for 10 seconds. Just pause it if you want to look a little bit longer. All right, so you can see that the 4090 is pretty much not worth it at 1440 with the 12900K. It does improve the FPS once we go to 444K. In ACC, it was a significant improvement in 1440 and 4K. So definitely worth it there. Now we'll just do the exact same test, but with the 13900K and see if there's a little bit more difference now that we have a faster CPU. So you can see even with the 13900K, the 4090, it just doesn't really get a chance to get used at 1440. You do see an improvement when it does get a chance to get used, especially the Montreal test is more GPU intensive. And you can see quite a bit difference there, especially once you start going to triple 4K, you start to see the difference. But at triple 1440, money was better spent on the CPU upgrade. Now that we've done the GPU comparison, we're going to do CPU comparisons. We're going to do 12900K directly against the 13900K, first with the 3080 Ti, and then later with a 4090. So same thing, triple 1440 on the top, triple 4K on the bottom. So we can see that the 13900K definitely improves the 1 percentiles and the 0.2 percentiles a good amount, even with the 3080 Ti. But now let's do the comparison of the 12900K versus the 13900K with the 4090, so we can have some more GPU horsepower and let the CPU work a little bit more. Okay, as we can see, when we pair the 12900K and 13900K with the 4090, the CPU is able to work a little bit more now that the GPU isn't such a bottleneck, especially in triple 4K. And the 13900K definitely delivers on the 0.2 percentiles and the 1 percentiles. It's a really nice increase just for one generation. Now we'll do the DDR4 versus DDR5 memory comparison. So for this memory test, I'll only show triple 1440p. The comparison will be the 12900K with the 3080 Ti on the top and the 12900K with the 4090 on the bottom graph. So we'll be able to tell how the DDR4 and 5 kits perform with both GPUs paired with the 12900K. And real quick before I forget, the DDR4 kit is 3600 megahertz with CL15, and the DDR5 kit is 6400 megahertz with CL32. So from those tests, we can see that the 12900K paired with the 3080 Ti, DDR5 was still a little faster than the DDR4. But when we paired the 12900K with the 4090, the DDR5 came out ahead by quite a bit in most of the minimums, which is quite important. So now we're going to do the exact same test, but with the 13900K and see how that fares. Now, when we do those exact same tests with the 13900K, you can see that there's not really much of a difference at all. I'm not sure why the DDR5 or DDR4 didn't perform way better or way worse with the 13900K versus the 12900K. The exception would be the Montreal test with the 13900K. The DDR4 was quite a bit quicker than the DDR5. Maybe it's a latency thing. I'm not sure, but that's the results. Now, there is something else I would like to go over, and that's power consumption between the 3080 Ti and the 4090. And I'll kind of show some graphs here. And you can see, for example, on the Montreal test, that was very heavy on the GPU. The 3080 Ti at 1440 was averaging 90% on the load, and it was consuming 396 watts average, whereas the 4090 on the same test was averaging only 59% on the GPU load and was consuming 291 watts. And then if we look at the 444K test, the 3080 Ti was averaging 95% usage with 397 watts of power average. The 4090 was averaging 90% usage with 429 watts of power. So the reason why I want to bring this up is because even though I went from a 12900K and a 3080 Ti to a 13900K and a 4090, my total system power draw has been roughly the same, plus or minus 10-20 watts. Because of this, well, in fact, sometimes it's been lower, especially if I lock my frames to what my TVs are, which is 120 hertz, because the 4090 is basically just idling. It's able to push such high FPS with such little effort. Okay, so if you want to run these benchmarks yourself, I will include a link down below in the description of the video. And then just extract them to your replays folder for iRacing. And then for the ACC one, extract that to your ACC folder for replays. Now, for an example for iRacing, what we're going to do is we're going to load up the Road Atlanta GT3 bench. So we'll load that. And Road Atlanta is a 99-second benchmark. So what we'll do is we're going to load up CapframeX, which is the software that I was using to capture all of these benchmarks. And Road Atlanta is a 99-second benchmark. So right here where it says capture time, you want 99 seconds. Now capture hotkey I put as number 5 or numpad 5 because that's the default key to start a replay. So that means that every single time I would do the test, when I hit it, the replay instantly starts. So every single test is always 99 seconds for Road Atlanta, and it always starts and it always ends at the exact same time. Very repeatable. Just gotta wait for iRacing to load. Almost fell asleep there. Okay. All right. So FOV is very important for these tests because having a different FOV can change your results, at least if you want to compare them to mine. So my FOV is 202. I'm showing this on just a single screen, 2560, 1440 for the purposes of recording. So of course it's going to look all messed up. But these are the settings that I have. If you want to do direct compare, you want to use 202 FOV. So once the replay loads, you're going to want to pick car number 69, nice, Jimmy Broadbent, for this test for Road Atlanta. And double click on the back arrow here to make sure that we go to the very start of the race. And now that you are at the beginning of the replay, as soon as you hit numpad 5, it'll be ready to capture. So let's hit numpad 5. So now it's doing a capture and it's recording the race. This is not obviously how I did it in my normal test. I didn't have all these programs running. I have the video editor running, etc., etc. So I'll just let this go the whole way. And I'll speed it up in the video editor so we can get to the end. All right, so now it's finishing. So that's 99 seconds of Road Atlanta benchmark. So every time you start it, it will always start at the exact same spot, exact same car. Make sure you pick car number 69, Jimmy. And then as soon as you start it, it'll always start and finish at the same time. All right, for the Montreal test, we are going to select car number 2, Jimmy Van Veen. And we are going to do the same thing. We're going to go back to lap 0. Make sure we're at the Montreal is a 106-second capture. So 106. Same thing. Now we got the capture going. 106 seconds. All right, now it's done. Okay, great. And that's the Montreal capture. 106 seconds. Car number 2, Jimmy Van Veen. All right, so now we're at Imola. Same deal. We're going to select Jimmy, car number 69, Jimmy Broadbent. And then we're going to go back to make sure we're starting at the very start of the replay. And Imola is a 117-second benchmark. So we're going to do 117 on the capture. And then go back to it, start the capture. And we'll let it go to the end. All right. Okay, now we are at the end of the Imola capture. So every time you do it, you go back to the start, select Jimmy Broadbent, and put 117 seconds on the runtime. It'll always be the same car, same conditions, and same length of time. Okay, for ACC, it's the same deal. When you put the replay in your replay folder, it'll be in the gallery and replay. Audi R8 LMS Evo 2 at Brands Hatch. But then you want to go to options, video, and set the preset to Epic if you want to compare it against mine. So we'll do that. And then also I'll put on the screen like right now the FOV setting. So it's like the same, you know, with iRacing FOV can play a big difference. For the purposes of this recording, I'm streaming the game from a different PC because I don't have it installed on this PC, but I'm just showing you how to do the benchmark. ACC, you select car number 16, and then we start it at 121, and then we change to the first inside view. Again, I'm streaming this from another PC and recording it on one screen. The FOV looks all messed up, but you get the idea. Now, this one we have to click play and hit numpad 5 at the same time. But ACC is a 98-second benchmark. So we'll click play and hit numpad 5 same time. All right. Tony, no. Okay, and that's the capture done for Assetto Corsa. It is a 98-second capture, car number 16, and you want to start it around the 121-second mark. So that's the conclusion of the video. Again, if you want to run the benchmarks yourself, the link is down in the description. It'll be a shared Dropbox link. And then there'll also be a link to CapframeX and Rivatuner, which you'll need for the benchmarks. Inside the benchmark zip, there's a README that has the information again in case you forget how long the benchmark iterations have to be for each track, what car, etc. And the settings are in there for iRacing and ACC. And I hope this information was useful to a couple people out there. And I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.